In this lesson, we'll continue on creating our basic web server with Node.js. But before we go any further, let's talk about setting up a project directory. This is going to allow us to install some things locally in our project that we can use. It'll make our lives a lot easier. And whenever we create a Node project, we really want to follow these steps to set up our project directory so that we can, allow other people to use our project. We can push it up to Git, allow other people to pull it down, and everything will be nice and tidy in the project directory. This will be similar to what we did with Rails. So we create a new Rails application. Everything is contained in that project directory, and all the dependency management is done from that directory with the gem file. So we'll see that there's something similar in Node. To get started, we'll run npm init, and npm init will set up our environment. And it's quite simple to do. We just, from the command line, will run npm init, and it'll walk us through creating the package.json file. Now that's the file that is going to store all the information about our project. Now we're just going to click through and take the defaults, and then we'll see what gets created. So now we can see the JSON that was generated by this process. And if we look in VS Code, we can see that that has been stored into a package.json file. Now, here are the defaults that get set if you just click through. We have the name of our package. By default is code, so we could change that now if we want to. Make sure that what you type in here for name doesn't have any spaces. We should follow some conventions that we could look up about naming npm packages. But for now, we're just having a play. We're not too worried about creating a package that we're going to make available. So we're just going to give it a name, student matcher, that sort of matches what this application does. We could type in a little description here, matches to students. Main tells us the JavaScript file that we want to run when this package is run, and the script section we'll talk about in a bit. I could put my name in here as the author, but know that what you have in here doesn't matter too much when you're developing your project. It can always be changed later. So we'll save that file. What's important about setting up this environment is that it is going to give us a way to install some packages locally for this project or modules. So one thing that we're going to install is Forever. Forever is something that's really handy when we're developing a Node package, because a lot of times, we'll cause some problems developing our package. We'll have some syntax errors. We'll, add some code that makes our server crash. And what Forever will do is it will continuously restart our application. It'll detect when it crashes and restart it for us. So it can come in handy during development. So we're going to install Forever, and we're going to use npm install to do that. Now, you've used npm install before, but probably you've used it to install packages globally. What we're going to do now is we're not going to pass the global flag, and we will install it just locally in this project. So we'll run npm install, and we'll use the save dev flag to indicate that this is a development dependency. So we don't need Forever when we deploy this project to production. We're just using it in development, and we want it to be stored as a development dependency. So from the command line in our project directory, we'll run npm install Forever with the save dev flag. And this is going to go fetch the package, install it into this directory, and it will update our package.json file. So if we have a look now at our package.json file, we have this new property in our object called dev dependencies, and we can see that Forever is there. Something else has happened, and that's that this node modules directory has been created, and it has a lot of things in it. It has a bunch of packages installed, and one of those is forever. So here we have forever, and now we can use it. So the way that we use forever is that we pass it the command we want to run, which is node in this case, the file that we want to run with node, with a C flag, and this will start our application. And if our application crashes, it will restart our application. So let's just quickly see that at work. For example, if when we get an invalid route, instead of sending back a response, what if we threw an exception? Well, this will cause our server to crash. Let's test it. So let's start our app with forever, and let's send a request on an invalid URL like llamas. So we send that, and we can see in the console that we got our route not found console log. We can see that an exception was thrown on line 39 of our app, and we can see that forever detected that and restarted our app for us. So that's really handy. Now, something else that I want to show you is that what this package management allows us to do is that we can actually delete our node modules. So it's gone, and we can just run npm install, and it will read our package.json, find the dependencies, and reinstall our dependencies for us, recreating the node modules directory. So now we have forever available to us, and we can run it. So this is really cool. This is just like when we have a Rails project, we can just run bundle install, and bundle install will read our gem file and install all of the dependencies for us. So another thing that this means is that there's no reason to check our node modules into GitHub. We don't want to do that. That's a lot of stuff there, and there's no need for it. So right away, as soon as we do this, we're going to create a gitignore file. Now I'm going to use VI. Don't let that scare you. You don't have to use VI. You could use VS Code. And the only thing I'm going to put in this gitignore is node modules like this, with a / and an asterisk to say, I want you to ignore anything in node modules. So now we've got ourselves set up with forever. There's one more package that I want to install right now, and that is nodemon. So nodemon is super handy. It watches for any changes to any of our node files in our project. And when it detects that we've made any changes, so we save changes from VS Code, for example, it will restart the server for us. This is brilliant because, as I mentioned before, it gets really tiring to restart the server every time we make a change, and we might forget, and that will lead to confusion. So we make a change, forget to restart our server, and then we're confused about why we're not seeing the change. So let's install nodemon also as a development dependency, because it's another package we use for development, but we don't necessarily want to be there in production. So we'll install it with save dev, and then we'll have nodemon and forever. So then the question comes, how do we run our application using nodemon and forever? So the way we do that is, instead of passing node as the application we want forever to run, we just pass nodemon. And we're going to use this these additional flags to nodemon as well. We won't worry about those for the moment, but let's just see that this works first. So from terminal, we're going to run forever with nodemon to start our app. And that works. And we can see that if we make a change, so let's go back here and let's change this back so it doesn't throw an exception and just sends back a response. So let's have a look here. Let me take this off of full screen so we can see what happens in our console. So I've made the change. When I save it, do you see that? It restarted the server for us. So now anytime I make a change, nodemon will restart the server for me, and if I crash my server, forever will restart the server for me. This is super handy. So the only problem I see now is I don't want to have to type this in every time I want to run my app. I'll never remember that. I don't remember long strings like that. So we're going to take advantage of another handy feature of using package management to develop our product, our package, and that is the scripts. So the scripts property in our package.json will specify some aliases. And we can use these aliases with npm as sort of shorthands to run long commands. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add one here called node server. I'm pretty sure that's what I called it in the lesson. Let's check myself here. So node server, there we go. And we're just going to basically put this command that we ran on the command line with a couple of modifications. So one is that when we're running in this environment and we specify the command in our package.json, we don't have to put the relative path. We can just use the command name because our path is set up for us. So as long as what we're referring to here is in the path, and if it's been installed with npm install into our package, then it'll be set up in the path. We can just refer to that. The other small change is that we are escaping the quotes that are inside of our string here. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it in here. So now whenever we want to start our server, instead of typing this whole long string, what we can do instead is we can just say npm run node server. So we say npm run and then we pass it an alias from our scripts property, and that does it for us. That's beautiful, isn't it? So as you develop Node packages, you'll really make use of that scripts alias to make your life easier. And maybe I'll do another video on how we can really set up a nice development environment and really use that scripts variable. But for now, we will move on to our project.